Yeah. But no, he makes it look so
well.
easy out there. He just.
Do you think?
Well,
do you think
we're
him
out there,
being brings more people in though? Like, I reckon now. Like, I know the A League's had some players before. Like, I mean, we've currently got Joe Lolly who played in the Prem. Ross McCormack's been out before. Like, I think Dwight York's been out before, and there's been big players over here, but I think he's got to be up there with one of the biggest the league's ever seen, right? World Cup winner. Like, he's loved, universally loved by every fan base that he's played for. Like,
he'd be top three for sure. I think Del Piero's the biggest, based on what everything and
Juninho,
the timing
was
that
here
he
for a
came.
while as well, I think.
Hey,
I think Juninho at Sydney for a while.
Yeah, Juninho was a
Middlesbrough
forgotten man, isn't he? He's a forgotten
couldn't
man.
take a
He
free
played
kick,
well.
that guy.
Yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah, no one ever talks about him, eh, Juninho? But he was quality in the Prem.
Oh, he was quality over here too. He just had so much time, and I think watching Dwight York it always felt quite sad for me because he was just sort of literally strolling around and was still the best player on the pitch, which is something. But Juninho really seemed to put the effort in, but really stood out like a beacon.
Didn't Adelaide have Romario at one point for a season? In like the
I don't think it was a whole season. I think it was 5 games.
There you go. Come out here for a holiday.
Yeah, I think it was 5 games. He came from Romario. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think Robbie Fowler was here for about 5 games as well. Going to the other end of the scale, you had him, and obviously Donkey Dean, Brian Dean was at Perth. I think for a very, very probably a season, maybe 2 actually. But,
we had the big Heskey in Newcastle, mate.
Yeah, Emil Heskey. I remember when he moved over here temporarily. Yeah, he also had Charlie Austin as well. Was at Perth, wasn't he, for a bit? Or was that Brisbane?
Yeah. And he had a tantrum at the team because they were so shit.
Yeah, I've seen that clip.
We had Schneiderlin out here as well.
Schneiderlin, there's a name.
Ono was a good player when he was here as well. He made it look.
Schneiderlin was here. They need to go and get more players like Juan. Seriously, they need to get more players like Juan out here. I mean, he was treated like shit, man. Last year, it was absolutely. I was there. Like, I went to every home game last year, and the amount of, and I was catching up with with people that worked for the club in good positions, and I was fortunate enough to get into Juan's box and everything like that, and catch up with his girlfriend and in-laws, and mate, I was in a box with Juan, and they didn't even supply food. It was bullshit.
That's wild.
Wow. No food, nothing like that.
What about when they made his partner stand in the rain at MacArthur?
No, that was at Leichhardt Oval.
Yeah, is that against Sydney?
That wasn't for Wanderers. That was this year.
Yeah,
that was this year. Yeah. So that she's standing in the rain, and Mark's trying to get her accommodate somewhere to sit. Yeah, it was piercing down rain.
Royalty.
Yeah, and it was bullshit. That was.
Do you reckon he resigns for victory? Do you reckon he's done?
I think he's enjoying his time. He's enjoying Melbourne, loving it. But can you see a player like him staying for 3 years? I don't know.
I could see a like a Beckham arrangement like he had with Inter Miami, where Mata buys into one of the clubs maybe, or something like that, and tries to get exposure that way.
He has shares in a football club in the US. I just don't know where it is.
Yeah, it's down in San Diego.
Yeah, I think he'll go. I think he deserves to win Player of the Year, and then he can almost like a big fuck you to Western Sydney for the way they treated him and handled him.
Because they play him last game.
Well, I'm so happy that he stayed, because a lot of people in Australia football would look at that because they have no idea about ability, and they'd sit there and go, "Oh, he's just old and he didn't have the ability to play here in Australia, blah, blah, blah. He couldn't keep up with the game and stuff." He was playing as a number 6 for the first time in his career at 37 years old.
Yeah.
And now he's playing in his natural position for Melbourne. He's the best player in the comp by a mile.
Yeah.
And how wild is that, by the way? Like I remember when he left United, and at the time thinking oh, it's sad, but probably, right time. And then he's kind of gone around the leagues. He went to Galatasaray for a bit, didn't he? And then he's ended up over here. And my word, he can play. Like, you think of all the guys that are on the fringes of the Prem, because I know we have our opinions on certain players in the league, every week, and flippantly we'll say they're no good. But I mean, Juan is testament to how good these players are.
Like, how far behind Australian football is in every way.
It blows me away. Like last year when I was watching him, I went out to the Wanderers training a lot. I went out there and, mate, at training he was just showing up everywhere. It was crazy how good he was at training. And you used to get talking to some of the players there, and we used to drop questions to him all the time. Why isn't he playing? Why won't the manager let him play? It was such an ego thing for me. He had a problem with Juan's manager, and he took it out on Juan. And that's the whole deal. You put your job under scrutiny just so you can pick on Juan's manager. It's absolutely mental. It makes no sense whatsoever. Like, to give him 10 minutes a game is fucking crazy.
And how's he going now? He's without a job.
Now he's without a job.
But I imagine the A-League were absolutely fuming with that. Like, they've just managed to bring over this marquee player, like it's a huge deal for Australian football. And then he's basically made him sit for the entire season.
Yeah.
I heard that it wasn't Stagic's choice of player. So that's what I heard. Apparently Stagic didn't really want him.
He came over as like a rival to Sydney FC signing Douglas Costa. So it became like, well, one side of Sydney's got Douglas Costa, who's come from Juventus, Bayern Munich, and whatnot, and we've got Juan Mata, who's come from the Chelsea, Manchester United. As like when these two play in round one, which they did, it's Costa versus Juan. And I think the problem that Western Sydney had was that A-League probably wasn't too upset with Juan not playing, because the players that Western Sydney had were young Australians that have now signed over in the Scottish League. So there's money coming back for them to go over there. Like Milanovic has just signed for Aberdeen. He doesn't play, but he's now signed over there. That Zach Sapsford's now playing week in, week out for, I can't think of the club, but he's over in Scotland too. So there's two young players that probably the league are thinking, let's push them this season, get money for them back into the league.
Yeah,
but that's stupid.
Stafford was a massive loss, man. Massive loss. He was scoring some good goals last year, man. He was basically carrying him last year. We had a few good chats with his dad, because his dad used to sit near us, and great family. The
one that I always crack up as, you want to talk about players that maybe, and I loved him in his time at Sydney FC, but Josh Brillante for Western Sydney Wanderers was playing ahead of Juan Mata.
Yeah,
a 35-year-old Josh Brillante.
We used to talk about it all the time, man. We used to talk about it all the time.
A guy that was can't even make the Australian squad, and I used to think Josh Brillante was a brilliant A-League player, but he's starting over a fucking Champions League winner.
Imagine the stories he can tell his kids. Oh, I kept World Cup winning and Champions League winning Juan Mata out of the team for an entire season.
How good I was.
Mate, he was a loose cannon, man. He's such an average player, honest to God.
So here's a question for you then. So obviously you've said they've moved overseas now, and there's a couple of young guys that are playing in the British leagues. As Australians, are you almost encouraging that? I mean, we've got James Overy in the Resis at United. Like, are you guys wanting to see these guys go over and become the next Tim Cahills, Brescianos?
The problem is
100%. I will say it right now, 100%. I encourage. My kids are at the top level of football. Their boyfriends are at the top level of football, and I'll tell you straight. I tell them. I always ask them. Right, I'm in the situation with my daughter's boyfriend at the moment. Right, I always say to them, because it costs a lot of money, man, to get your kids in that top tier. Jordan knows, he's been there, right? By the time, I always say to them, they come off the field pissed off because they never played or something like that, or the coach has said something dumb, and I've got Alyssa's boyfriend going through it at the moment. And I say to him, why are you playing? Why do you want to play? What is your goal as a player in Australia? He said, because there is no future in football in Australia. Unless you're willing to take yourself and go overseas and play, there's no point in playing here, because all you're doing is going through the motions. That's all you're doing. You're training your ass off 4 to 5 days a week. The parents are forking out easily $3,000 for $3.5, $4,000 for registration, plus whatever private training they're doing and everything like that. Under 20s. By the time you get to under 20s, some of these A-League players now are on $2.5K a week, man. And they're subsidised by Football New South Wales as well. So people can't, the clubs aren't playing for the lot. Football New South Wales is subsidising these players as well. It's fucking bullshit. Unless you're willing to go and jump ship and go overseas and play, mate, go get a job and start living life, because it's a fucking fraud, football in this country.
That's where the biggest problem in Australian football is, right there, Adam, is we want to see all these players go over. There's 2 Australians that left Melbourne Victory at the end of last season to go over to play in Europe. One was Ryan Teague and the other one was Daniel Azzani. They're now both in the A-League, back here again on loan after 6 months in Europe because they couldn't get a game for the clubs they signed for.
Isn't Azzani
He's at Melbourne City now.
Yeah. Oh, City, yeah.
Yeah, so him and Ryan Teague both come back to try and get minutes to try and get the Australian World Cup squad.
Well, the New Zealand keeper's the same. Auckland's keeper or whatever.
Yeah,
he's signed. Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
He might have even signed for Bayern Leverkusen or something, but he's back now playing at Wellington. All these players that we go, go, like Milinkovic, I think it's how you pronounce it, Nicholas, played for Wanderers on the right wing last season. He went to Aberdeen. He has not started a game this season for him, I believe. So he's going there. Issue, right? Because Australian football's so far behind. But we don't have, they're at the top of Australian football, so they're obviously getting poached to go overseas. But the gap between the top of Australian football and the bottom of Europe is major, because there's no money in Australian football to keep these players for another 2-3 years. Like Zach Sapsford that we're talking about before, who's gone and played in the Scottish League and doing great. If they kept him in the Australian League for another season, bringing players around him and stuff, he's going to boom even more. Then he's going to get even better. He's going to play more, because players get better by playing the game. It's all experience.
Zach Sapsford last season was getting $50K for the season. $50K. Yeah. These players in the A-League are getting absolutely hammered, man. They had to take another pay cut this year. They had to take another pay cut.
I won't say the numbers, but my first real contract, which was offered to me by the Newcastle Jets, was less than an NPL 1 club offer to play State League here.
I'll tell you now, man. I'll give you one, Jordan. So when was it? 2 years ago? I was following Wanderers Premier League team. So I'd say NPL 1 team before they jumped to A-League. The players were getting paid $50 a week, man. $50. It's
and
bullshit.
You compare that to the United Resis, right? I mean, I've been up to Carrington and seen it. The United Resis, and I'm talking under 18s and above, they're on mega dough. They're rocking up in brand new AMGs, and it's just a different level, isn't it? There's a couple of guys at the minute. There's the young lad at Watford who's doing pretty well. That's an Aussie, isn't he? And then there's I can't remember his name.
Irakunda.
Irakunda, yeah. He looks pretty good. And then there was a young lad at Portsmouth as a striker.
Segasic, I love him.
Yeah.
Adrian Segasic. He's a Sydney FC boy.
Yeah.
Brilliant player.
So you've got young talent. It's just when you go back to the 06 team, I'm pretty sure this is right, but Cahill and Viduka never played any A-League football. They moved overseas when they were 17.
Cahill Cahill came back, played a few games, didn't he? He came back.
At the end of his career. He went
at the end of the career, yeah. A-League wasn't around when they were over there.
And that's the issue, right? To increase the eyes on the A-League, players like Juan Mata coming over and having a couple of seasons out here is imperative. You've got to pick these players. America started off when Beckham went over to America. If you watch the documentary, the standard of football was absolutely horrific in comparison to what he was used to. It's still better than I'll ever play. But like in comparison to what he was used to in the Prem and Serie A when he played at Milan and whatever, it was night and day. So you've got to pick up these players that are, coming to the age of retirement. Like every league that tries to better itself starts off that way, and then you build from there, right? Like it's only going to improve your youth system. It's only going to.
But the big problem you got here too, Dan, is sponsorships. So you just don't have the sponsorships. Every time Australia tries to go forward, it gets shut down by AFL or rugby league or NRL. The money's not there. Like I still remember when the NRL got their first $1 billion sponsorship from Foxtel, and they just wasted the money, man. Just wasted the money. And it's only up until the last 3 seasons where the new guys that have come in, the chairmans and stuff, have really starting to evolve rugby league. But they just do not want to give the money to the football here.
They were in
sponsorship is not. It's just a fraud, man.
If you go back 10 years ago, when you had the likes of Del Piero was playing for Sydney FC, Shinji Ono was playing for Western Sydney Wanderers, you had I can't even think off the top of my head, but you had all these players over here. You had sellout crowds nearly every week. And then they've gone from being at that level, having those players, to 5 years after that, they're not having any marquee players. There's no money in the sport. It's like the world evolved in terms of wages, paying players, everything else went up. But Australia went, oh, no, we're still keeping everything the same. But you're getting less money this season to spend on players. But everyone else wants more money. So therefore, all of a sudden, like the Newcastle Jets signed that Houlihan that used to play for Norwich.
Oh, where's Houlihan?
Yeah. After 3 ACLs, signed him. He didn't play. He played 1 game in the cup. That was it.
I think it's a lifestyle thing moving over here, right? For a lot of these boys.
Yeah.
Like if you listen to a lot of them talk, Charlie Austin in particular, like they come out for a different lifestyle. Because moving to Australia it's a completely different lifestyle to living in the UK. You've got the sun. You don't get mithered as much as you would as a Premier League footballer. That's one of the perks, right? You don't really get hassled. I mean, Juan's a bit different. He's a global superstar, and he has been for a decade, if not more. Mm-hmm. But like a lot of these boys that are playing low-level Prem, and that's not to knock them, but like the guys that like Charlie Austin, Joe Lolly, like players that, unless you're a fan of that club or you've watched their kind of career evolve in the lower leagues, you're not going to know who they are. And most Australians don't know who they are. It's like an AFL player going to the UK. No one has a clue. Like,
that's a very good point.
They literally have no clue. Like I look at some of the North boys that go over and watch Liverpool play. No one stops them for a photo. No one has a clue who Davis Uniacke is or Sheasel or they no idea. It's the same for a lot of the boys that come out and play in the A-League here. It's a different lifestyle, and that's unfortunately one of the big pluses from their point of view. They know they're going to get less money, but it's something new to try with their families. But how do you change that up? How do you get more eyes on it? If, like you say, we had this 10 years ago and the money's been wasted and they've not capitalized on that exposure, it's going to take someone like a Juan staying another couple of years, buying into a club, or him getting David De Gea to come over at the end of his career, or a couple of the other boys.
That's what they need. They need more than the one. So Juan's a great example of what they need. But there's only one of him in the fucking league. Joe Lowley is Sydney FC's best player. No one knows who Joe Lowley is, though. At the end of the day, they don't. So they need, every player needs, every club needs like a Juan Mata. They need to be pushed with cash to go and get that one player. That's then going to go, their home crowds are going to go up by 10,000. Do you know what I mean?
Imagine if they went and got, right, there's 5 players off the top of my head. Ander Herrera, Marcos Rojo, Cavani, David De Gea, and you kept Juan. And you put one in each team.
Fucking hell, that'd be unreal.
Let me get
to some of these comments, and then we can continue the discussion. Because, mate, this is a great discussion. I didn't think it would go on like this. It's great. So we've got here, welcome Caroline Jones. It's 4:15 a.m. for her. She's watching. Thank you for joining us. Let us know where you're watching from.
Couple of rough heads to look at that early in the morning.
I've got Box, who joins us a fair bit. Australia used to be good. We'll get into that in a sec. He's also said Brett Emerton. where are we? Here, Brett Emerton and Lucas Neal at Blackburn.
Yeah.
Which, mate, they were great. They were great.
We had players like Bresciano over in Italy. Like you had cool.
Let's get it. Let's just hold that. Just hold it, right? Let me get to these comments. We got Elliot here. Jack Rodwell moved to Western Sydney Wanderers was diabolical. He's got another one here. Yeah. We go, look at Charlie Aston and what he said about the standards he was trying to set at Brisbane and just butted heads with players. Scott Wooten, ex-United, been in the A-League for the last 5 years. I caught up with him actually a couple of years ago, which was good down at Shark Park. So, going back to this one, Australia used to be good. And fortunate enough, I grew up watching the NSL, which was good, mate. It was so good. It was so cultured. It was just it was something that you had to do every week. And I used to go watch Melita Eagles play regularly. I go watch Sydney Olympic play. It was so good to watch. It was very cultural. And that's how they ruined football here. They took the culture out of the game. And all they had to do was, like your Marconis, your Sydney Olympics are rubbish these days, man. They got no money. They don't pay players. And it's shit like that. Like Sydney Olympics are a joke. Yeah, RPA Leichhardt's, which are good. They've got so many sponsors, well-run club. It's great. It's the same with Marconi and things like that. Like you got Rockdale, Illington there, very good. Mate, these clubs are so good. But they could have brought it in with Melbourne. Melbourne have got some fantastic clubs. Same with Wollongong. Wollongong Olympic down there. Mate, they pay megabucks for players. Mate, I used to play in that comp down there. And, mate, the fields down there are immaculate. You know what I mean? There's so much potential in Australia. It's just not run correctly at all. And it's just a piss take.
My big thing with Australian football, and I think it should happen in every single competitive sport that you want to produce money, is there has to be a relegation and there has to be a promotions thing. There has to be a reason for you to. So if you're an owner or a chairman of a football club, say you own Central Coast Mariners, for example, or you own this year you're Western Sydney, you have to spend some money to make sure you stay in the league, which means you have to bring players in that are hopefully going to be at that Juan Mata type of player to lift your club from last up the ladder, because you cannot afford to go down. Look at how the Premier League teams do it. I know it's a completely different scale, but look at West Ham. They went and signed 2 strikers in January just to try and make sure they can get goals to stay in the league. I think that's critical.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, George, because like the no relegation, no promotion thing only works if you've got a draft system, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work if you don't have a draft system. And even when you do have a draft system, slightly going off topic for our non-Australian sort of viewers, but North Melbourne have had numerous draft picks and they're still crap. So it doesn't work even when it's meant to work all of the time. Whereas, like if you bring in that jeopardy of relegation promotion, now the Premier League's gone way too far the other way. It's the top 5% basically control the rest of the league financially because they've got the biggest eyes on them, the best TV deals and whatever. But if you can strike a balance there somewhere, I'm a big fan of fan ownership and stuff, which is a completely separate discussion. But if you had a load of clubs that were fan owned that operate on that system with the promotion relegation, you'd have a brilliant league. Mm-hmm. You'd have a brilliant league because it'd be competitive.
And you'd have people wanting to spend money to make sure their team stays in the league.
Correct.
Like I look at, say, Western Sydney Wanderers this season, same with Wellington Phoenix. They're probably the 2 at the bottom of the table off the top of my head. They're looking at next season going, oh, this season's a write-off. We'll be back next season.
Yeah.
You can't have that.
No, you can't.
I want to bring Paul into it because Paul's been around for a long time and he's been around seeing the Australian side. No, but you know what I mean? Like you've watched a lot of football in the 80s over in England and you've watched it right through and you watch a bit of it here as well. Where do you see, I know we've turned this into like an Australian football pod basically. Where do you see Australia lying with the A-League, NPL? You probably don't watch too much NPL, but how can they improve it? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I'm so negative when it comes to Australian football because I've seen but then I really enjoy. I don't mind going to the A-League and watching it, but I don't support it the way I used to.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to you guys, like, because to be honest, I don't know. I don't know an awful lot about the A-League, and years ago, probably the first couple of seasons, I actually jumped in and got a season ticket at Sydney, and we didn't renew it. I think maybe after the first season, possibly the second. The quality wasn't there, but it wasn't just that. There was never any advertising as to when games were on. You just didn't know. They were changed so frequently, and I know in England they get changed, for TV all the time. Here you could be looking on a Friday going, oh, when's the game? And it's Friday night, and there's no advertising for it. You're not advised, and we missed loads because we didn't even know they were on. I don't see that that's necessarily improved. And for a spectator sport, it's pretty piss poor if people don't know when the game's on. There's things like that just accentuated it, and I just lost interest, and I've never really regained it. And now there's still a similar problem, even with it being on TV, like it's behind a paywall. I've got no real knowledge of when games are, potentially even when the season starts, when it ends, when the final is. There's just no coverage of it. There's no advertising, and I think there's a lot of people like me that would love to be switched onto it, and would love to support it and love to go, because we kind of see the benefit of a strong Australian system. Particularly, if the Socceroos do well, you're going to get better coverage of the World Cups and everything else, because if they don't, it can quieten down a little bit. But I don't see where it's going to change unless some of this stuff that Jordan in particular is talking about, better sponsorship, more money coming in, and getting that exposure. I just don't know where they go. I don't know where they go to fix it. But time will tell.
It's always been a huge problem, the advertising. I still remember I was a season pass holder at Sydney FC for, I think, 3 or 4 years. I was a silver member. And I used to talk about it all the time, about advertising. Why can they advertise? I always make the example. They can advertise darts and make darts a massive thing, but they can't bring it together here in Australia. It's mind-blowing. I used to run, I was telling Jordan about this. So when it first kicked off, for the first 2 seasons, they never had the Sydney FC youth side. For the first 2, I think 3 seasons. As it was building, they got the youth systems in. A bit further on, they started getting the women and everything like that. So I started a page up on Facebook for Sydney FC's youth side. So I used to take my daughters. We used to travel around and go and watch all the players like Ryan Grant, Sean Rooney, Brendan Gann. We used to travel up and down the coast just so I could get an article together just to advertise the youth side. And then all of a sudden, like, my daughters ended up, as they got older, they were ball kids for Sydney FC, the Socceroos, the Matildas. My kids have had a ball, man. The A-League All-Stars. They've been so lucky, my kids, within football in Australia, the amount of players they've met and everything like that. But I put this page together and I had it together for about 2-3 years. I had heaps of people posting on there, talking about games, everything like that. All of a sudden, Sydney FC got a whole wind of it. They decided to start advertising the youth side, which didn't bother me, because finally they've taken the initiative to actually advertise their younger team that were doing well, were undefeated and won the league. You know what I mean? But then they had started changing managers and stuff like that. I think it was Terry Butcher came in. He didn't like the youth players, got rid of all them, and then it's just started turning to shit again. It's just like it's ridiculous. It's the same thing with Mark Rudin with Western Sydney Wanderers. He had a chip on his shoulder, took it out on youth players, in particular someone close to me, and then took it out on another player, and then it just turns to shit. Fans hate him, just turns into a rivalry between fans and manager and everything like that. And then it just doesn't stop there. It goes right across the A-League. It's just, things are run so bad here in Australia. It's ridiculous. Mate, I could talk about this for weeks.
Yeah, it does feel like it, but I just don't know what the solution is. I did think of it the other day. I was walking around Sydney at the weekend, and didn't see, I was seeing Liverpool shirts. I was unfortunately seeing a few City shirts knocking around, quite a few United shirts and some random Premier League stuff. But I didn't see any Sydney ones. Didn't see anything for any A-League side, and it's embarrassing, really.
That's because they used to, for ball kids, they used to make the parents pay for a jersey. Seriously, man. Ball kids used to wear the same uniform year after year after year. It's bullshit. And they're massive on the kids, but they used to wear the same tracksuit, same top, same hat. They used to just take it home, wash it, redo it again. Even junior Australian players now, this was like a couple of years ago, unless they make a semi-final or something like that, there's a factory over at Botany that they get the second-hand jersey from that they wear to represent Australia. It's mind-blowing what goes on in Australian football. It is mind-blowing. I still remember it was only last year, the Australian women's futsal side, they were flying overseas to play a game or a friendly, I think it was a game, a tournament. They all rocked up to the airport all in their home tracksuits. Not an Australian tracksuit. They had to wear bare clothes. It's fucking mental. Like, and they're just basics of the game. It's laughable. Absolutely laughable. It's crazy.
And yet the women's team here, the Matildas, have such good exposure. Like if you said to most people, like families that watch for, like my missus she's got into Arsenal basically because of the Matildas, because they've got they did have two or three players that played for Arsenal, and they seem to have capitalised on the fact that obviously they've had players go over and play in the Women's Premier League, but then they've also had a good World Cup, and people have jumped on the back of that. So if Australia, say at the next World Cup, have a
good World Cup's questionable.
Yeah, let's say it's unlikely. But say they do in New Zealand and they go unbeaten in the group stage, right? And they make it to the knockouts, and they get somebody big in the knockouts, and they don't get thumped. That's a perfect opportunity to capitalise on more eyes.
But do you know what they'll do at that point? The way they
capitalised on it was the Socceroos, the men were doing shit. So, and then they started getting all the women's A-League started going and everything like that. And like, congratulations to the Matilda players, like the regulars, like Alana Kennedy, Caitlin Ford, what's her name? Cooney Cross. Yeah, but Cooney Cross wasn't in that mix of players that were Steph Catley were really throwing out advertising. Look at me, let's be, might as well say feminists, and let's go and get it all together. So congratulations to them, but their time's come to an end. It's coming to an end. They need to push newer players through.
Yeah. Back to what Dan was kind of saying. What was I going to say? Fucking hell, it's gone out of my head now. Oh, the World Cup, right? So you sit there and say Australia have a great World Cup. I'll use an example of what's just happened in Newcastle over the last month. The Newcastle Jets are on an 8-game win streak. They're 2 off getting the record in the A-League. Do you know what the biggest thing on the news was? The Newcastle Knights preseason game.
Yeah. But I've just had the Australian women's futsal Roos side. They made the grand final of the Asian Cup. Did any of you blokes know that? Unless I just said it. It's their first serious tournament, and they made the grand final of the Asian Cup. Lost 5-4 to Thailand, who are one of the powerhouses in Asia in futsal.
Yeah.
And literally these girls haven't trained together all year. They play against each other, but friendly games and everything like that, they may have had 4 training sessions. They were all supposed to train every Sunday to go and train, but got cancelled, and things like that. Then they go to Asia and they kick ass. They played well. They played strong. I'll give you a perfect example of how Australia futsal goes. So Miles Downey was the futsal Roos men's coach. He works for Football Federation Australia. So instead of going to get a manager to manage the women's side, they were paying him already. So they made him the Australian women's team coach. Hadn't watched a women's game all year, but they made him the manager. Then all of a sudden this year they made his assistant the coach. They don't turn up to A-League, and I shouldn't be saying this because my daughter's on the verge of hopefully getting to that spot. But it's ridiculous, man. Futsal just cops it hard, big time, and it just, I don't know, it's just bullshit, man.
It's all just grassroots football, though. Like you sit there and say about the World Cup, but then again about the exposure. Do you know what's on during the World Cup in Australia? The NRL.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even know Australia's qualified for the World Cup, would you?
No.
Well,
I mean.
Yeah, if you're an average Australian that's sitting on the fence regarding football, you've got the AFL season that goes on during that time. You've got the NRL season that goes on during that time. Like, both of those sports are a massive here. It's really difficult to know how to fix this essentially billion pound problem, right? Because you need money to invest into players, you need money to invest into TV rights and all this sort of stuff. And without, like, if you said 10 years ago they were filling stadiums, I don't know how they're going to ever build the profile of the league up unless you have people in.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. They had that perfect. They had it there in the grasp of their hands 6 months ago. They had a thing called the Oz Championships, and it was all the top MPL clubs played in a tournament, which South Melbourne won. South Melbourne had one of the best players, Manny Aqua, his name was, played up front for him. He's gone and signed overseas for an Indonesian team. He was the best player in the tournament. You sit there and go, how is he not picked up by an A-League club to start with? He's been the best player in an Australian tournament in the so-called, it'd be the second division if you're calling the A-League the first division. So you've already had the competition where all these clubs travelled around. They played each other for, I think it was 10 weeks. They had group stages, knockouts, everything like that. They had bigger crowds at these games than they do in the A-League. Like, I know for a fact, South Melbourne had like 12,000 to 15,000 at their games. Wow. MacArthur had 6,000 last week at their game. Like, so you've already set the standard of where you can have. Like, it's going to cost money, but these clubs have got money. Like the South Melbournes, the RPR, the Marconis, they're all paying their players more than what the A-League pay their players. So you've already got the money from these clubs. So let's make a second league, and let's have promotion relegation. Let's have
Bankstown Sport this year, right? Bankstown put a team together this year in the MPL, and it cost them nearly $600,000. $600,000, man, for a team. I'm pretty sure that's how much it was.
Yeah, but then you put that right. You tell them if you come first in your league this year, you're going to play in the A-League. They'll drop another $600,000 if they've got it.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. And then the A-League teams are like, "Oh fuck, we've got to like get players to be able to stay in the league."
Yeah,
and it creates a problem where owners don't want to be owning a club that's in the second division. There's no. If you don't come first, or if you don't come in, what is it considered the top 6 for the finals? If you come outside of that, it doesn't matter where you come.
Yeah, it's just a dead season to you, really.
Yeah, that's all it is. No one cares.
Yeah, it's a
sad Australian football.
It's a sad state of affairs, isn't it? Like, particularly when you've come from growing up and you've seen the pyramid system in the UK, and like, don't get me wrong, that has its flaws, and you know, we had the whole Splinter Super League and all that, you know, awful suggestion and clubs signing up for it, and that would have completely destroyed the pyramid system, really, because of the top clubs that are just gone. But there's so many positives to it. Like the FA Cup, like that used to be, I mean, it was a lot bigger 10, 15 years ago, right? It was the most watched event on national television. People wanted to win the FA Cup in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, right? People were growing up wanting to play in the FA Cup final. Partly because, and what makes it so good almost is the cup shocks and the fact that you play teams. Yeah, Port Vale, perfect example. They've just beaten Sunderland and they're in the quarters, semis now. Like
finals of the FA Cup.
Exactly. Like those, like just having one, like getting through from the third to the fourth round, or getting through the qualifying system to the third round of the FA Cup is worth thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds to these clubs. Like they live and die, some of them, on the funding that they get from those competitions. What have we got here? Nothing really that's similar.
I don't even know if you win prize money for winning the Australian Cup. Like I wouldn't even have a clue.
I don't even know who won the Australian Cup last year. I couldn't tell you. I knew who won it 2 years ago.
Jets, mate. You wouldn't even know.
It's just wild. Absolutely wild. Like
there's so many. We could do a pod on this, man. We could definitely do a pod.
I was going to say,
well, we could go on for a long time if you know what I mean. Like it's crazy how things never change in Australian football, man. It never changes, and it's. I see people all the time. You know, example Justin at the moment, like just one of our good mates, Justin. His young bloke's at MacArthur. His daughter's there as well. And I just pray that, you know, one of the best advices I got when my kids first started playing in the NPL is do yourself a favour, don't get involved in anything, and don't talk to anyone. And I did completely the opposite. and never follow a coach. And never follow a coach. Yeah, it's crazy. There's so many things, and I'm sure. Look, in the UK, I'm sure it's the same. You know, the politics and everything like that.
Oh, yeah.
But here, there just seems to be so much you gotta watch out for. I think the thing is,
though, we're not competing with like sports that are considered superior to football in the UK. Like, cricket's big in the UK, right? But it's not our biggest sport. It's arguably not our second biggest sport. Here, it's that and the AFL, really, right? Like, people want to play Australian rules. Football is a third tier sport here. Like, even the Olympics, you guys are a very, very strong swimming team. Like, the Winter Olympics, there's that young lass that was competing. She was like 15 or whatever. Like, she might struggle at the next few Olympics just because of funding. She's an Olympic athlete. Like, I think the biggest difference
Winter Olympics is a little different, Dan. The people that are part, and I know some people that have been part of skiing and stuff like that, the parents are very, very wealthy. And they don't, and that, mate, it costs like $100,000 a season for these people to be in the Olympics and train to get into. It's like $100,000, $200,000 for these kids to be training for Winter Olympics and going to World Cups and stuff like that for skiing, snowboarding, and stuff like that. It is mega money, and the people that I knew, very wealthy people. Yeah,
I just find it
wouldn't be much funding from Australia.
That you could be representing your country in whether it be futsal, skiing, fucking Aussie rules, cricket, anything, and you've got to fund it yourself. You're representing your country at the highest level you can go in your sport, and you're fucking rocking up to an airport in a fucking tracksuit pants and a jumper from home. Not even a fucking Australian outfit. Like,
Kira's boyfriend last year, he made the Australian schoolboys team. Cost him $12,000 to get over there. Lucky we $12,000, man.
We pay that much in fucking taxes every fucking week, every year. Like,
$12,000
my tax bill's through the roof. Like,
it's crazy.
Surely some of that can fund these people going to represent our fucking country at the highest level you can get at in your sport. Do you think the NRL players? Do you think the NRL players paid to go over to Vegas, or do you reckon it all was funded for them?
Oh, 100%, mate. But that's what I mean about it competing with, like, what I considered superior sports here. Like, in the UK, football is probably our biggest sport, or certainly close to the most number of kids. Like, if you went through, I don't know, the national average of people under the age of 18, what sport do the majority of them play at some sort of level? It would be football. And if it's not football, football will be top 2. Like,
what else would match it?
Australia's the most played game in Australia. Come on.
I mean, cricket. Like, in terms of like what I played at school or what we were forced to play at school, like rugby union is big. Like, rugby league's big up north, but rugby union generally at school is more pushed. You had hockey during the summer seasons along with cricket. What else did you play? Like, the posher schools, obviously, private schools were doing things like polo, which obviously, you know, peasants like myself weren't playing. But, you know, it's it's one of those things, right? Like football is easily accessible to everybody. It's almost like a working class sport in the UK. Like it's everybody wants to play it. Everybody has access to some sort of, whether it's playing on the street or it's playing down your local park. Like there's plenty of places to play football. Whereas if you go to a park here, well, there's a couple with like football goals and stuff, but most of them are like they've got cricket wickets or they've got AFL setups.
It does my head in at the moment where they make all the especially around here, they make all the skateboard ramps and stuff, pump tracks and everything like that. Why not just make a mini football pitch? You know what I mean? Just like a little street football pitch you can play on.
Yeah. I'd love to know if you did a survey of like people under the age of 25 in this country, how many of them would rank football in their top 3 sports, either to like they enjoy watching or they enjoy playing. I don't reckon it's above 50%.
You know what? But a lot of it comes down to parents, man. A lot of it comes down to the parents. So, and I was saying to Jordan when we're out at the A-League on the weekend, because obviously we always want to catch up with Juan whenever we're watching. And I was saying he was worried because there was heaps of kids. I said, I can tell you right now, right on kickoff or at halftime, most of these parents will be gone. They'll be gone. It just happens all the time. They never sit around, watch the game, everything like that. Kickoff, the game finishes, they're out straight away. You know what I mean? It happens all the time. I see it everywhere. That's all the time. Anyways, I've got a couple of things on TikTok here. I've got Irish Be Wanderer. Thank you for joining us again. She always joins us. She's saying now, good morning from Dublin. That Irish friendly, which is Manchester United's involved in, the oldies, is happening at Cork Park in August 2026 now. So she's just giving us an update, giving us a heap of prizes too, roses and things like that. So very nice. Thank you. And then the boys are talking about tennis, boxing. Box is saying tennis is pretty popular and boxing. Rugby union's falling apart big in the UK. Rugby union here, shit. Let's not get into that. That's like, but
that in itself is wild, right?
Have all that.
But you were when I was growing up anyway. Like 2003 when we won the World Cup, we're pretty sure we beat you in the final, didn't we? Like, what is happening? And again, I went to the Lions game when the Lions toured over last year. I went to the MCG test, and like, I was surprised how many Australian fans turned up because it was way more than I was expecting. Because like the NRL is well attended, but rugby union, I don't know if it's just because your team's no good anymore and the funding's gone, but like there's no real interest. But again, the Lions tour, perfect chance to put some money back into that. Like we used to have the Melbourne Rebels when I first came out here in 2018-19. Well, they went bust. So there's no rugby union team in Melbourne now, or they're certainly not to that level. Like
I would never know it. I couldn't even tell you a fucking rugby union team. I know that Zach Lomax, someone just signed for.
Well, yeah,
someone's strike force or something.
Western Force, I think.
There you go. Fuck, got the name wrong and everything.
Yeah, so because he was meant to be signing for the Storm, and then who I'd go for in the NRL, but then
you're that guy.
I am, mate. I am.
We can have another 6 months. 6 months without you now, Dan.
We've not won a grand final since I've been here, so it's not glorious reporting. We've lost 2.
All right, let's move on from Australian football. Let's move on. Well, there's a couple of things we want to get into. Far out, man. 50 minutes on Australian football. That's nuts.
That's longer than the actual decision making.
All we were doing was starting to talk about Juan Mata. That was it. We went into everything. I want to talk to Dan and Paul. I want to get Paul involved here about the United announced a 5% increase in season ticket prices for 2026-27 season, which is drawing fan criticism. And then I mentioned to you just before that Forbes has just released that the Glazers' net worth soars to $2 billion each as Manchester United owners. What's the go there, boys? You both are season pass holders. How do you feel? Where do we take this to the next level? Do you think that more protests are going to happen? What's going to happen with this? It's an absolute joke, man.
I don't know. You feel free. You go first. I'll follow you. I've got some opinions. So.
I'm the same as you, mate. I've got some opinions, but let's put it in the wider context first before I start slating them. In the sense that the last 3 years we've had increases, but the 10 years prior to that, all season ticket prices were frozen. So for 10 years, admittedly, there were 10 years when we were pretty crap. But, we let's celebrate the small wins in the sense that for a number of years, despite prices going up around the league, we managed to keep our season tickets frozen. Now, you've had comments from Jim Ratcliffe in the last year about we shouldn't be paying less than Fulham. And, similar opinions voiced by a lot of people. United's season ticket prices in the grand scheme of things, in comparison to other teams in the league, isn't as high. Now, a lot of that is due to the fact that we're not in London and we don't have the same cost of living or the same wealth in Manchester that they do in London. So you've got to put that into context as well. Now, my season ticket's going up, like you said, 5%. So over the course of a season, it's like £2 or £3 a game, which isn't a lot. Like it's fine. Like it's manageable. It's not something where you go, I can't afford to pay that anymore. Is it frustrating? Of course it's frustrating. But for the people that are sat nearer the dugout, who are being told that their seats are being made into more corporate packages, essentially, because the club can sell them for tenfold what they are at the minute, it's way, way worse. And like you've got people that have paid for, I think it's executive club seats this year, that have been able to freeze their ticket prices for next season. Now, a lot of that, I think, is due to what we've seen this season, in the sense that United haven't played anywhere near as many home games because they got knocked out in the cups really early on. So they've not had value for money. But the club clearly feel, and they're demonstrating it in what they're doing with taking some seats away from the back of the stands and making them into more corporate areas and boxes and what have you, that there's a bigger upside in selling those corporate tickets than there are to the normal fan that's held a season ticket for 20 years. They don't care about us. We're easily replaceable. Unfortunately, the demand is there for all types of tickets at United. Like a lot of my friends and family, unless I give them my season ticket, they don't go because they can't get hold of tickets. They don't want to pay £400 a game in a seat up and in a padded seat. Like it's the fan advisory board and Musk and all that kind of stuff have done some really good work in keeping it down to 5%, and not changing the stipulations around how many games you have to attend in a season to keep hold of your season ticket, and now being able to have the option of forwarding it on to family and giving it to the foundation if you desire. Like, there are some good things, but there's also some extremely irritating and annoying things. But we aren't the only club that's going through a season ticket price rise. We're not. Like, let's be real. And ours, they're not awful. They're just frustrating because we've had 10 years previously where there were no season ticket rises. It was frozen.
Well,
so
do you think, say, I know you said the 5% ends up being to £2 to £3, but do you see them being in, from maybe them looking at it going, let's do 5% this year, 5% next year, maybe 3% the following year. Then all of a sudden, without even thinking about it, you've gone up 13%.
Yeah, 100%. That's what's going to happen, right? They're going to keep boosting it. How is this new stadium going to get paid for? Well, we've heard nothing about how that's being funded. But ultimately, that's going to come from the fans, right? Players' wages. We can't pay the sort of wages we used to. That's becoming quite clear. Like, Semenyo's gone to City and he's on more money. Whether he wanted to come to us or not is a different question. But ultimately, they offered him a better financial package than we did because we can't afford to do it anymore. We're still riddled with debt. Like, we're shifting some players in this summer that are on big money. But ultimately, the money that we're paying in season tickets, the money that we're spending on match day, a lot of it's going towards player wages. Of course it is. Like, it's unfortunately one of those situations that, like, in comparison to the Aussie League, it's gone way the other way. Like, it's got to a level that's unsustainable. And unfortunately, fans are now being priced out of, not so much me, but other fans are being priced out or being told to move, or the club are trying to be a bit cute with things and trying to find ways of generating money. But then you also have fans go, well, let's break the bank for said player. You can't have it both ways. Like, it's a really controversial topic for a lot of us. I'm sure Paul will go into it a bit deeper than I have. And it's obviously very divisive.
I've got a guy on TikTok. It's called I'm going to say it a bit different. Pluck off. He's written, muster useless, but dynamic pricing will kill the game. I don't know about Must are useless, man, because Must do a lot of good things, man.
I think that's a bit unfair.
Duncan does such a good job for Must. It's pretty harsh saying that. Like, he needs to probably be a bit more in line with 1958. But what do you call it? But they're two different identities, and they are working together now to try and help fans. When ticket prices do go bad, there's a lot of involvement. They actually sit on the board now at Old Trafford and everything like that, especially at the start of the season when people's tickets weren't coming in and stuff like that. The scanning wasn't working. They're working things out, man. They're trying to how big's United? What, they 70,000 or whatever it is now?
72, I think
72,000. Like, there's a lot of people to help, man. Yeah.
There's no perfect scenario with this, is there really? Because ultimately the club is always going to want more money. There's a lot of greed in football. Like, you want the best players to play for your team. There's a cost for that. Like, unfortunately, fans are the ones that end up paying for it. Do I agree with ticket price rises? No, of course I don't, because it benefits me, or certainly doesn't benefit me directly. Like, it costs me more money. But am I willing to pay the extra £3 a game, to keep my season ticket? Well, yeah, I am, because the waiting list for a season ticket in the Stretford End is ridiculous. So if you get rid of a season ticket, you're not getting it back for a decade. And that's probably one of the main reasons why we could build a 100,000-seater stadium. Forget the logistics.
What's the total price? What's your season pass cost you?
So, I'm going approximately now because I don't know the exact figure. But I sit in the Stretford End upper tier, so I'm tier 2. And it's approximately for league, because obviously they charge you for the league game. So the payment that comes out when they renew is just the league games. It's around £900 now.
Yeah, I thought it was. I was going to say £1,000.
Yes, but then you've got, so the club are quite, as I'm sure Paul will reiterate, they're quite cute with how they do things with the cup scheme. So you can opt in or out of the cup scheme, and they've brought in the cup season ticket now. Yeah, which they did, I think, last year for the first year. So I've continued to opt in. Now the problem I get as a season ticket holder is that shifting games for, a tie against, say, Altrincham on a Tuesday night in the League Cup, people don't want to go. Or like, say we draw Young Boys in the Champions League and we have them at home. That'll never sell out. Like, I know the club will say it's sold out, but a lot of it's through different statistics. You go in the ground, it's not full. Like, it never is. It's, unfortunately, you lose money there, but the benefit of having the season ticket because you love the club and know you're not going to get it back, means that you'll offset that loss, right? And they're cute with how they take the money out. So, like, say United win an away tie, you'll get an email before the away tie happens saying that if they win, the money will come out of your account. And it's normally instantaneous with the result. Like, it's
they don't waste any time.
Literally 5 minutes after full time, money's come out for the next round. We don't know who we've got. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things you put up with, right? Because that's the privilege of being a season ticket holder. There are pros and cons with it. Ultimately, if you've got the money and you want to spend it and you don't mind taking that loss, all for it. But you've got to get more people in the ground. Like, I've been massive about making sure I give my ticket to family and friends and get it back to the club as early as possible so people can go. Because you don't want to just have your seat sat there. We want to build an atmosphere at games, right? Like, that's one of the biggest criticisms for the number of years I've held it when I was living in the UK. Like, we'd go to a midweek game, and unless it was a Champions League night, and even then, some of the Champions League games that were dead rubbers, there's no atmosphere. And they've made some brilliant changes this year, and the Must has been a massive part of that, and the fan advisory board's been a massive part of that with banners in the Stretford End. Well, they weren't allowed 12 months ago. But that's come in as a new thing. It's made a massive difference. Like, the lads I still speak to that sit next to me said it's night and day difference a lot of the time now in games that would normally not sort of elicit that atmosphere pre-game. Like, it's a separate issue, but kind of tied into the same thing. So I don't think the Must criticism was particularly fair from, thank you for listening, whoever it was, but I don't think that was particularly justified.
Yeah. Before you start, Paul, I've got a couple of comments here. I've got Box here. He's saying Tottenham's most expensive season ticket price is 2.3K. Imagine that for a championship side. And then I've got Pluck Off over here on TikTok. He said the 58 needs to protest the mega store close it on match day, make United lose money.
Never going to happen.
It won't
Never going to happen. And this is
I understand that.
But this is part of the problem with people not, and I don't fully understand them. I'm going to claim I do, but from the raw numbers perspective, Adidas pay United they sign a deal for 10 years.
This is my thing. I always say,
right, regardless of how many.
Paid.
Yeah, exactly. Regardless of what's sold on a match day, regardless of who buys it, United are a massive club. Like I know and this is, I mean, I don't know if you blokes know this, but they sent out a survey, and it's the survey that they use. That we're the most supported club on the planet. No, that's not what happened. They sent out a picture of the badge and went, how many people recognise the badge? That's not a supporter of the club. That's just
how I remember it.
Right?
Yeah.
But like, people will buy United shirts if they're not United fans. You can't stop that. Like that's just.
But they're already paid the money. They're already put the money's paid in advance, so they get money. Adidas get their money back. It's already paid. That's what people don't understand.
And we're owned by billionaires.
They do get
you really think they give a toss?
Yeah, they get penalised for not qualifying for Champions League or whatever, or lower league positions. So that's where the fans can make an influence by. Well, they can't really, but if the fans don't turn up, then the club can't pay the money for players, etc. And then it kind of can spiral the team performance down. But that's a pretty extreme measure, and whether it will work or not, who knows? But it would take a long time.
And it'd also be extremely toxic, which is a fan base we don't want. So
exactly,
again, like it's we had when the Glazers took over, and I obviously was significantly younger at the time, 2005, 2006. You had people flash mobbing and all sorts of stuff to try and prevent that takeover and the B Sky B stuff, and it didn't make a bit of difference. Like the Glazers have still bought the club, they've still run us into the ground, they've still leveraged us with debt. It's made no difference what we've done as a club protesting it. Like it's even when
90% of protests are just fuck. I agree people don't agree with things and they want to try and protest it, but 90 to 95% of protests are honestly a waste of fucking time because the people that are making the decisions don't care. They're still going to go ahead with it.
The only time I've seen fans make a real difference on a particular issue was the Super League. That's the only real time I've seen, and that was because it was literally fans of every club, whether it was a big club or small. Doesn't matter. We were like, we're not having this. Like, we want the pyramid system. You can take your Super League and you can say goodbye to it essentially. But can you name me an occasion where it's worked for United? Really? Like they stopped the Liverpool game by storming the stadium during COVID. That is about it. And even then, the club got fined for it. So. And people got arrested and given criminal records. And it's not the correct way to go about it, right? I mean, I'm all for a protest. Don't get me wrong. And there's lots of things wrong with United. There's lots of things wrong with how we were bought by the Glazer family. They're absolute parasites. But my opinion and everyone else's opinion and the amount of protests that we've done, it's not made any difference, has it? So at some point you go, what can we do? Like...
I've got Pluck off. He's going off here. He's written, what are you... He's written, what are you lot on about? Close the mega store, not no match day revenue. It ain't rocket science. We lost 200 million sponsorship deal through the protest. I don't remember that. I don't remember losing 200 million.
I don't get the point of closing the mega store. Do you not want to generate? Like, I don't understand that. But like, you've already paid for the sponsors of having Adidas and all this shit. Just sell the fucking jerseys and shit that's in the store. I don't get the whole thing of close it for match day. Like, it doesn't. Yes, the owners are going to make money with or without the mega store.
Well, people just buy it online. So,
but this is your other issue, right? We've got demands for tickets that are obscene, regardless of whether we shut the mega store or not. People are still turning up for the game. Like it's like I don't disagree that protesting is. One way to get your point across, and not against that at all. Like that's as a fan group, we should show our discontent with what's going on. But they're not going to take any notice of us. They haven't really. I mean, look at the actions in the last 10 years. Like Jim Ratcliffe's interview with Neville and a couple of other guys, like Andy Mittens, the first time we've had an owner actually communicate with the outside world, and he's meant to be a fan of the club. Like the Glazer family do not care about who protests, what protests we do, they haven't for 15 years, and they're not going to now. They're just
Yeah.
milking it for all that they can. They're going to sell their shares, and that'll be it. Hopefully, for everybody's sake, it's sooner rather than later.
I've got Pluck off here. He goes, you lose money. No money equals no spare cash. Think about it, for fuck's sake.
Well,
I love his passion, man. I love it.
Yeah, I don't disagree in some sense, but we're also we're in significant debt, so technically our cash flow is.
I was just about to say that. Like, I could be naive saying this, but does not more cash flow in a company mean we've got more money to also spend towards players, spend towards making facilities better, paying for things around the club? Like, it's not. Yes, the owners are going to take a share. That's the way business works. As a business owner, you're always going to take a percentage of every bit of profit you make. Otherwise, what the fuck is the point of doing it? But if you're going to close the mega store, I don't think that's going to make that much of a difference. I don't know. It could be. I haven't been there, so I'm not sure. I don't see the cash flow that they get.
They were still
Could there
taking their
not be a
dividends
shop down
out.
the road that sells jerseys as well that they could go to, or a pop-up store somewhere?
Well, Adidas in every major city.
There you
Like,
go.
do you know what I mean? Like, it's not. We have a revolving credit facility to pay for players, of which we pay interest on the money we borrow. Like, we're just leaking cash. Like, it's the mega stuff isn't going to help massively at all.
But would it not, like, from a business standpoint, having the mega store open and having people buy stuff, that would help cash coming in? So therefore, it helps. I know it's not going to be drastic, but
your main sponsor would be more likely to renew, right, at a better rate because you're selling more jerseys. Is how I'd see it. Like, I don't know if that's the raw numbers and stuff around that. I'm not a financial expert, but like, logic would say that if they're paying a set fee over 10 years, if you sell more jerseys, then obviously they're more likely to renew.
Yeah.
Like, we had the whole team viewer stuff when they obviously got out of their agreement and had to pay. I think they had to pay like a clause to get out of that agreement. So we didn't we lost money over the long term, but we got paid initially for the short term cancellation of the contract. I could be wrong on that, but I think like it's United's commercial arm, particularly under Ed Woodward, which is controversial, was actually pretty good. We'd have sponsorships for everything, coffee machines and tires and insurance companies. Like, that was fine, but now we're starting to lose those contracts. And hopefully that makes a difference, but it's yet to be seen, right? We're still generating significant interest in the team. We're still the most talked about club in the world. And we've been pretty average for years. Like, got to wait and see, I guess.
Doesn't matter about winning the league with Michael Carrick.
Oh, how good.
All right, let's move on from this. Let's move on. Far out. Now at 10. Mate, this is a big pod. The latest update for European tour. I always look for this preseason tour because if it's in Asia, I fly off to go and do it. This year, it looks like it's in Helsinki, Oslo, Warsaw, and Dublin. Lucky buggers. So it is a big European tour, which is good. I think most of the players that'll be on this European tour will all be probably the 18s and 21s anyway, being that it's a World Cup year. So, good on them. They're going to stay there. It's probably a good thing. It might get us in order. They're not traveling around the world and trying to impress or have a holiday or something like that, whatever.
It'll help players jumping on after the World Cup. Like, it'll help when the World Cup and teams get knocked out, players can go and have their 2 weeks after the World Cup, and then they can go meet up and they're only flying a few hours instead of halfway across the world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because obviously the World Cup's in the US, so to fly back to have your holiday probably with your family in the UK to then fly back to probably the US or something. It's pretty, because obviously they're not going to be with their families and stuff for the World Cup. They'll be with their countries and their little squads and that. So I think it's a good thing for United to do it. I would rather them come to Australia though, selfishly.
No, I agree. I think European tour is a good idea, particularly with the holes we've got to plug in the squad with players leave. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there's always obviously signings off the back of the World Cup that, players come into prominence and they try and pick them up for for probably more than they're worth. But United have got a serious recruitment challenge this summer in the sense that we're losing potentially 5 players. Like you just hope they've got the strategy in place before the World Cup starts, and a lot of the business hopefully is ongoing in the early rounds of the World Cup, so it can just be done as soon as they're finished.
No, but the key is going to be knowing who's going to be managing next season. If they haven't got that sorted out, then they're going to be you're doing that. You're signing players that a manager doesn't want, and then you get into a whole other world of issues. So hopefully they're being proactive and they're working behind the scene, and they know they've got a good idea who that person's going to be and what that team's going to be. Because I think it's unfair if they lose 5 and then just expect 5 or 6 of the youth squad to just step up and take it on. Again, they still could be with a manager that doesn't necessarily rate them, or bring in someone like I hope they don't bring back Mourinho, but bring back someone like Mourinho who doesn't seem to rate youth anyway, and would just discard them. So they need to be doing that now, and they need to be on it.
So who do you reckon we're going to get, Paul? Oh, that's a really
I've already put no idea.
Would you give it to Carrick if he gets us into the Champions League?
Potentially, yes. I mean, I think to be honest, I think the players or the managers that have got a tune out of any United side since kind of Ferguson really have been Solskjaer and Carrick, the ex-players, and Giggs did it for a couple of games, and he won a couple, and I think lost to Sunderland at home, I think, from memory. But certainly Solskjaer had a tune coming out of the team for a while. The wheels went off at the end, but they keep bringing in these big names, and they don't really seem to gel. It doesn't seem to work. Whether they don't get this thing that's talked about, this United DNA that's spoken about, and it doesn't connect with the fans or whatever it might be. But none of the managers really have particularly floated my boat that have come in since Fergie.
I'll tell you something. So I was listening to that Talk of the Devils pod that they did yesterday, or it might have been today, and they made a really interesting point about how Carrick's actually getting a lot of plaudits at the minute from being very calm in post-match pressers and pre-match pressers. But they're also saying that at some point, if he does take the permanent job, you need to see more from him, like a bit more emotion, a bit more kind of like bite. Do you agree with that, everyone?
No, I don't think so.
It's really interesting.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. I think our manager needs to stay out of the media. He does enough press conferences. Like, he'll do a midweek one, then he'll do a pre-match, then he will do one after the game as well. Then he's expected to do other shit midweek. Fucking hell, man. Ange Postecoglou was saying the year he was at what do you call it, at Spurs, it's something like 150 press conferences. That's a joke, man. He needs these. So I think sometimes our managers, they don't have enough time to prep. By the time they do all their training, by the time they do all their press conferences, by the time they do all their MUTV stuff, it's a joke, man. They're here to play football. Just get the team right, and then the press conferences will flow from that. It's for me, I'm totally against it. So
I look back to where we were earlier. Where were we earlier with saying about the Aussie game? How many press conferences do any of the Australian A-League managers do? I've never seen one. No. There's no press coverage of them at all. So maybe there's a balance in the middle somewhere where there's a certain number that makes sense. But yeah, you're right. There does seem to be different statements from the same statement from the manager made in 4 different forums in a week, and it's like, why do we have to keep going through that? And even the ones before every game, I don't know if you see it on MUTV. You've got they record it in one, and then they play the first half, and then they embargo the second half to match day. Yeah. Why do they do that? Why not just play it all? It makes no sense.
Yeah, the one that gets me this year is the blooming half-time player ones. What is the point? They're not going to give you a proper answer.
Mate, they do not give a fuck what you're asking them. They're thinking, piss off and let me get in the sheds.
This is what I mean, right? They're all media trained now to say the same stock answers to pretty much every question. Yeah, we worked hard that first half. We're going to give it are all in the second half, or we weren't quite up to speed. We don't want to hear the stock answers. Cut a number of press conferences and interviews down, and you might get a more authentic response from people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Back on what you're
100%.
saying about Carrick and saying he doesn't have the emotion. I think a lot of the most emotionless managers make the best because they don't
Look at
get.
Ruben Amorim.
Look at Carlo Ancelotti, a guy that has won absolutely everything in football. He gives a press conference and he just sits there like he's about to fall asleep. He don't give a fuck what the questions are, and I don't think you have to have a certain emotion, like a bit about you. I think you've just got to. I don't know. With being a top level manager, you've got to have some sort of it's almost like an aura about you where when you say something, everyone listens. But you don't have to have emotion with that. Like you can. I think there's a level to it, and I think Ruben Amorim was too far that way. But in terms of managers for next season, I'm on the fence, but I look at Carrick got the job not based on merit. That's kind of an issue with me because you would not give the way he was going at Middlesbrough, he was not getting that job if he had not played for Manchester United previously. So, do you give him the job because he's doing well for half a season? Hasn't changed much. If you actually look at the way we play, the style, everything like that, all he has really done is dumbed it down and put players in their actual position. He's gone to a formation that every player knows how to play, and he's put. But look at Bruno since he's played as a natural 10. Bruno has no instructions. You watch him. He's told.
You also need the players to buy into it too, Jordan. He may have put them into positions and everything like that. You also need the players to buy into it.
What do players buy into, Adam? Winning. As soon as he beat Arsenal and Manchester
City, they've still got to buy into it in the first place, though, before they win.
So let's see what happens when we lose.
Well, Amorim we spent millions on Amorim in terms of signing him up and then paying his compensation, and he was trying to reinvent the wheel. Just go back to what the lads know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is the problem, right? The Carrick thing's a really interesting one because personally, I think if he gets us into the Champions League, I'd give him a rolling 1-year deal. So we're not tied into paying a massive comp fee if he does badly, which is what we've done with the last few managers. We and ahed about Erik ten Hag, gave him a new contract, sacked him within 6 months. We spent 15 million or whatever it was trying to get Amorim in, got him in early because we didn't want to get him at the end of the season. He has a horrific half a season and then doesn't do. We're a bit better performance-wise, but we've still paid loads of money to sack him. Gone. Money spent. Mourinho, giving him a new contract, didn't give him back in the next transfer window after that. Gone 6 months later. We've wasted so much money on managers since Ferguson left. I don't know the exact stat, but it has to be an astronomical amount of money that we've wasted on hiring and firing managers in the last 10 years. We've just got not a low-cost option, but a more financially sustainable option. If that's Carrick on a 1-year deal because he's doing well, then go for it.
But then do you think it's not really... It's like catch-22 from a player's standpoint. You're going, well, are you really going to be here in a year's time? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
Changeover has been so constant that I'd actually like to see Carrick. It probably won't happen. I'd like to see Carrick be the assistant because I think his man management of players is brilliant. The way he speaks to them, the way he, they love him. You can see it in the way they even play, which is what Adam's saying about them buying in. But to go from Middlesbrough to Manchester United, that's a fucking jump. So I'd love to see. I don't know if I want someone else to come in that's more established, like a Luis Enrique, Carlo Ancelotti.
I think if you hire a manager of that ilk, they're not going to keep him around like they didn't with Amorim didn't with Ruben Nistelrooy. You're not going to have that someone that's come in that doesn't know anything. Let's be fair, when Moyes took the job, should have kept a Phelan or a Mullenstein or someone around from Fergie's kind of backroom staff in the building. He didn't. And that's one of the reasons potentially why he wasn't successful in that first season. But everyone since then has brought in their own backroom team at United and allowed them to do it. I just don't see a way where Carrick stays on as an assistant. I mean, I agree with you. I think it would probably be certainly a solid idea for at least a year. But I don't think he's now going to accept becoming an assistant manager for one, a club where he's now managed for half a season. And two, I don't think a new manager that comes in that's, if we're going to go get a big name like a Luis Enrique, I don't think they go, yeah, I want Michael Carrick. They'll go, I want who I've had at PSG that's made me successful.
Correct. I do agree with that.
So you kind of go down to the, if Carrick is a co-manager with another, another ex-player that gets it, potentially, scare the living daylights out of him by having it as Carrick and Keane, or you've got Ole. Whether Ole would want to do it as a co-manager with Carrick, you've potentially got Steve Bruce. None of those have really done it exactly. Yeah, so there's no natural fit to kind of do it for Carrick to work alongside as another ex-player that's got that experience at a top club. So even if you went not that Brian Robson's going to be doing anything, but you say Brian Robson, he never really hit it as a manager. Obviously he was at Middlesbrough, didn't really succeed to any great level. So there's no, I guess what I'm saying, there is no natural ex-United player that fits to come in as a kind of co-manager almost, or that could make that difference. So if you're going to go down that route, if you're going to go down the big name, then I don't think there's a role for Carrick there.
I've got a comment here from Elliot, and I agree with him. He goes, you cannot deny Carrick's man management has been second to none. And then he's got here, why would you change the current formula? The ex-England assistant has been brilliant. So he's talking about Steve Holland there. And I totally agree with him. Look, I think what he's got there as a team, and he's got Johnny Evans in there as well. I mean, everyone was going on about Johnny Evans, but you know what? Between Carrick, Johnny Evans, and Steve Holland, their man management has been fantastic. Really, it has. Yep. You can't deny it.
I agree, but my only concern with that is if he gets the permanent job, and then they start to look to bring players in. Suddenly, conversations you've had with lads saying, "Look, you're going to get your chance," becomes, "Oh, actually, we're going to try and sell you." And then it becomes a completely different dynamic, right? It's been, and I'm not taking anything away from the job he's done. I think he's been superb, and I personally would give it to him on a 1-year rolling deal, like I've said. But of course, that changes the dynamic when he becomes a permanent manager, because suddenly you're not the guy that can, like Ollie was in his first half of the season, that can really just capitalise on the fact that we've had a terrible first half of the season. Come on, let's get through to the end of the season. You get your chance. Suddenly it's, I'm building my own team, and where do you fit into it? It's a different dynamic. So yes, his man management style has been brilliant. Yes, Steve Holland's a fantastic coach, and he has been everywhere he's been. But my only concern, and the only reason I think it'll change, is when you're given the permanent manager's role, suddenly you've got to at least have a part in recruitment decisions and which players can come in and go in, and that will change the dynamic.
Here's a question to throw at you. I'm not saying I can see it or I can't see it, but can you see Michael Carrick winning a Premier League as a manager at Manchester United? No, I'm just saying, like you see managing.
You can say that about anyone.
No, you can't, because there's certain managers where you look at and you go, "You've got it." So managers that haven't. Do you?
But I saw that with Jose Mourinho, mate. I saw that with Jose Mourinho, and he failed to do
it. He's brilliant. He's won everything in world football. As much as you might not like him, you have to understand he has won a fucking.
Yeah, but coming to Manchester United, did you think he was going to win the league for us?
No.
Well, there you go. So how's that question relevant?
I didn't hire him though. That's why I'm asking.
No, but you just said, "Can I see Carrick winning it?"
Can you?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you because you don't know. It's like saying Arteta, is he going to win the league this year? At the beginning of the season, did you see them winning the league with Arteta?
Oh, I still don't.
There you go. So, and he's in first.
I don't see Arteta as a Premier League winning manager. There comes a point where, like, it's not just the manager. It is because it's the composure they have. It's the smartness to learn how to go. Let's change this and this.
Yeah, but how do they earn that? How do they earn that, Jordan? By getting experience. They've got to get experience to do it.
But a lot of it's luck and circumstances as well, right? Like Arnie Slot last year, I did not see Liverpool competing for the league after Klopp had gone. Regardless of whether it was the same team or not, like I just didn't see it. I didn't think he was going to have enough. I thought he was outperformed in the Dutch league by other managers, and then suddenly he comes over here and wins it comfortably. It's a lot of it is luck. Like Leicester City winning the league, complete anomaly, but because all the other teams were terrible that year. Like if City have an off year, Pep Guardiola leaves, or Liverpool have another off season, and United can just put together a run like they have now, why not? Like. We're only going to know by trying it, right? Like, and what have we got
for
to
sure.
lose?
I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just throwing the question out there.
It's tough, right? Because he's not like, if you're looking at his raw numbers from the time he was at Middlesbrough, he had probably one of the biggest budgets in the champ, and he didn't win the championship, and they didn't make playoffs in either season, right? So, like, on those numbers alone, you go, no, don't see it. But then you go, we've lost one game in 10. Since he's taken over.
Yeah.
And there are far stronger teams in this league than us with far better depth. And we've beaten some of the top teams, right? Like, I'll be honest, when Ollie came in, I didn't see us competing for the league, but he got us into second and third in back-to-back seasons. Like
the thing with Carrick that it's different to like an Ollie. I think Rude had it as well. They stand on the touchline and you can just go, that's a Manchester United manager. They've just got this thing about, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a fucking black coat. I don't know whether it's a fucking haircut. The hands folded like this. But they've just got this thing.
Though.
I do.
Right, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Him and Rude are probably the only, like, I didn't feel it with Ollie. I thought Ollie was like the dad. Like, I just loved him. He's just the dad of the team. Yeah, they've got this like thing where you just go, weirdly, the more I think about I see Michael Carrick being someone that I go, in 10 years' time, fuck, what a manager he was.
I think he leaves in a better place than he found it. That's probably the even if he doesn't win a Prem, if he leaves us in a better position than he found us in terms of squad age, in terms of position in the league, general feeling among the fan base, and he succeeded regardless of whether he wins a Premier League. I know he's going to be judged rawly on did we win the Premier League and the Champions League because we're a massive club and that's what we want to win.
See, but we haven't won a Premier League since
2013. Like it's small steps, right? Like
I know, but like it's weird. I don't know if it's because I've seen him lift it, but I can see Michael Carrick winning a Premier League more than I can see Mikel Arteta lifting the trophy. Even though Arsenal squad is miles ahead.
That could age terribly in 2 months.
I think Man City are going to win the league. I've said it from the start. I think Arsenal coming into the run, I just don't see them having. I think the most important thing to win a league is to have people that have done it before. So when it comes down to the last 6-7 games of the season, you've got those players in the squad that just go one game at a time. Arsenal are going to start looking, and you're going to have players like their senior players, Declan Rice, Saliba, Gabriel, that are going, fuck. In 3 weeks, we got Man City at the Etihad. Like we've got a plan for that.
I don't see them collapsing this year. I think they've learned enough in the last couple of seasons.
I think the best thing that happened to Arsenal was losing to United.
Yeah,
I really believe that. I really believe the best thing that happened to Arsenal was losing to us, and that really switched them back on. Regardless of how they score their goals or who scores their goals, or they get them through set pieces, they're just getting it done now. They're getting it done.
You don't care how you win if you win. That's the main thing, right? Like, and they've not won a Prem since. Well, they've not won a Premier League since the early 2000s, right? So
I think a major thing will be the League Cup, because I believe that's City and Arsenal in that, and I think whoever wins that, they're going to look at the other team and go, "Yeah, we've got yous now."
Oh, see,
you got to remember, Arsenal's still got to go to the Etihad.
I reckon the loser of the League Cup goes on to win the league.
I reckon it kills. If Arsenal lose the League Cup, I think it deflates them.
I just don't see it. I don't see it.
They're hard to beat. Don't get me wrong.
I think if they lose the League Cup, they go, right, you've had this one. We're beating the league this year. I think they'll be so fired up if they lose that League Cup fight. Which, to be fair, like I know we we've won a couple of League Cups in the last 10 years or whatever. It's not a premium trophy. Like, it's a trophy that we claim, no problem.
Oh,
But I don't think they'd be that gutted about losing the League Cup final if you then went
I would
as
say
far as that for the rest of the league season.
I'd say, as crazy as it sounds, I think Arsenal are better and more built to win the Champions League than the Premier League.
Oh, bold call.
All right, while there's a pause, I'm going to get to these comments because Elliot's
like there's a wager on it between you two, to be honest.
he beat me in a fight.
Shit.
He goes, Elliot, sorry. I think if City beat Arsenal in the League Cup final, they'll come tumbling
He's
down.
copying me at this point, isn't he?
He's going, Jordan, stop. I've actually got that on TikTok as well from Fuck Off.
Oh, this Fuck Off dude can fuck off.
Okay.
But thank you for taking part, mate.
It's spelled PHUCKOFF.
I'll tell you how it's said, though.
I appreciate him in the chat. He's got written here, winning a game in whatever fashion, I'll take it if it brings the Premier League home. Mate, I appreciate
no one said anything about how you win the game.
Unreal.
I'm just saying they're not going to win it.
Was that an Arsenal? We've got an Arsenal fan watching. Jeez, if that's at 4 or 5 a.m. in the UK and you're watching this as an Arsenal fan, you really need to find something better to do.
I was going to say, just going back to the Carrick question, I think that potentially United have got an opportunity to kind of right a mistake that they made. And like there's all this talk about United's academy bringing youngsters through and everything else, and they had, to me, Solskjaer was one of the bright young manager, came in, understood the club DNA and everything else, and whilst they backed him in the transfer market, they potentially didn't back him by developing him. And there's things that they can do, you don't hear about it, but there's things that they can do to develop managers tactically, get better people around them, and really bring him on in his style. And potentially they've got, and I think from what Jordan's saying, you've maybe got a manager in the same situation, who he's a bright young manager. He clearly gets the DNA. He's making a difference, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so the club should be investing in him, not necessarily by backing him massively in the transfer market, because he's got players there that are clearly responding to him, but in developing his style, in developing different tactical approaches, understanding world football, European football, how to play against different styles, all that kind of stuff. There's work that can be done, and whether he thinks he's great in all those areas, I'm sure he doesn't. I think he's pretty humble, and he'll appreciate that there's ways he can improve. But I think it was a mistake they made under Solskjaer, and it's one that they've got a chance to fix and rectify now.
If they get the recruitment right with Carrick, there's every chance we win a Premier League.
Here's another question for you then. One player in world football you can bring in. Who is it?
Well, we need 2 4 players.
You bring only one player in, no budget. You can pick one player in the world to bring in. Mine's Valverde from Real Madrid. It's never going to happen, but it's my player.
One player?
One player in world football. An entire out of any comp.
What's Juan Mata doing at the end of the season?
Yeah, get Mata
in. Well said.
I'd bring Yamal in. Oh, because we need proper wingers, really.
Yeah, but are we thinking? I think with Valverde is a bit more of a better fit. But if you're thinking about what we need going into this transfer window, the biggest thing we need is a midfield. Is a midfield. We need 2 really, but if you're giving me one, it needs to be someone that's got a better ceiling than Casemiro had when he won 5 Champions Leagues, and he's currently at a level where he could win a Champions League now. I don't know of any. Elliot Anderson is probably my.
I'd take Tonali though. You'd take Tonali. He's fit end to end, wouldn't you?
I think he's a great player. I just think there's too many things around him that concern me.
He just likes betting, mate. Get off it.
He's had some injury problems as well. I just don't.
Yeah, he'll be going back to
Italy
very soon.
I think he's a fantastic player, but I just don't think he's the right one for us, if that makes sense.
My reason for
I'd
saying
rather have
Valverde
Anderson.
is because he can play fucking right back, centre mid, 6, 8, right mid. Plays everywhere. He gives you every single game. He'll give you an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. He's captain of Manchester United when Danny Carvajal isn't out there. He's just like a leader. He leads by example. He can shoot from distance. He just runs like a dog. I just love him. He won't come. He's a Real Madrid for fucking ever, but yeah, that'd be it.
It's a tough question, though, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
everything we've done in the last 10 years shows that buying a big name player fails, and essentially what.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I got Elliot. Elliot's put in something here. What about Tonali's mate Bruno? It's Granero or whatever his name is. Gargero.
Nah, we've got the real Bruno. We don't need two. We don't need another Bruno. We got the good one.
Do we keep? Do we?
I like him though. Yeah.
There's no guarantee.
I like Tonali and Bruno G as a midfield because they complement each other very well. What the other doesn't do well, the other one does. Like the weaknesses the other person's got in strengths, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Gamera is more tenacious than Tonali, but Tonali's got more flair, I'd say.
Yeah.
Right.
I've got Pluck off here. He's gone, wow, there are some wild takes on this. Give us your get him on, mate. We need to get him on. Yeah. Oh no, I thought he wrote something then. But boys, look, we're an hour 39 in. Are we going to do an eBay story or anything like that? Or
no.
I
have to run.
Yeah,
I reckon before you go, Paul, give us your quick take on the season ticket stuff because I interrupted you massively.
Yeah, I didn't get to that. Yeah. So, I think, in the scheme of things, I think people are getting hung up on this, £1, £2, whatever it is, game. I think that the wider issue with prices is it's the next generation of fans. It's getting pricing sorted so that kids can afford to go. Kids can afford to go with their mates, and that's where you get this habit of the next generation of support coming. I think that's a big problem. I think it's a problem that a lot of Premier League clubs have, and they're kind of burying their heads in the sand. Potentially, when United get the new stadium sorted out, it's going to be an issue they're going to have to sort in terms of having affordable ticket prices for youngsters to be able to go, and to be able to go on their own, to be able to go with parents or however it is, not necessarily in a sanitized family stand environment, which I absolutely loathed when that was at Old Trafford in its day. It was a dreadful experience. But I also think I think you touched on it with the number of games, the requirement for a number of games that you had to go to every year. I think it's 17 this year. I think the problem with it and why there's a lot of opposition is because we know that if you do sell your ticket back to the club then on sell it at an inflated price. So we saw the problem at the Rangers game where these tickets were turning up on premium websites direct from the club within minutes of being returned, being sold for 3 or 4 times the face value of the ticket, but it included corporate hospitality or a sandwich and a drink at the bar behind or something like that, and that is fundamentally wrong. They're just inflating. It's glorified touting, really. But the club know that these people will, they'll take them, and if they're doing it for travellers, people that are travelling to physically support United, they are going to go in the souvenir shop and they are going to spend an extra £200-300 on top of the inflated ticket price they've had. So whilst I think a couple of percent or 5% it's not outrageous in terms of it's a relatively low number compared to players, clubs like Spurs, where you're paying two or three grand for a ticket to see your goalkeeper get substituted after 15 minutes because he's fallen over twice. Sorry Spurs fans, but I don't know what the whether where it will continue to, but I don't. It's certainly never going to go down. They're not going to be reducing prices dramatically, particularly with a billion in debt and growing daily because of the Glazers and a new stadium that's going to cost another 2 billion. And everything else, the fans are going to pay for it, and they're going to pay for it at the bars behind the Stretford end. They're going to pay for it in K-Stan where I am. They're going to pay for it in the souvenir shop. They're going to pay for it in membership fees and everything else. So, if you want to be an active supporter, then you've got to face it that it's going to cost you more and more every year. And I don't know where that ends, but unfortunately wages and everything aren't going up at the same rate.
It's fucking just
Nope.
too
Very
expensive.
good, mate. Very good. Far out. All right, we're going to wind it up there. Pluckoff's going to finish us off here. He's got his 3 players that he wants is Elliot Anderson, Baleba, and a left winger. So he's been.
He hasn't watched football this season. He can fuck off.
Nah, pluck off a prime minister, mate. I'm all on
Baleba's
this
been
pluck
on
off
the
train.
bench most of the season.
Stop sucking up to him now, Dad. He didn't like you 5 minutes ago.
He still doesn't.
All right, boys. Thank you for everyone that's joined us. Thank you, Elliot, for getting on. Box as well. Yoni, whoever was
Pluck
on
off.
there.
Thank you.
Especially on TikTok. Thank you, Pluck Off, mate. You kept us entertained. And, mate, we will definitely chat to you offline, and I'll get to you, and you might be able to come on for a chat. The boys would be keen to get you on, that's for sure. So
100%.
Thank you, guys. United won. There's one more thing. This weekend, we've got a charity match versus the Mongolian team this weekend, and they have actually got a couple of professional footballers in their team. So I hope the supporters club want to do a lot of running. They got one of the players in there who's only ever scored 1 goal in a World Cup for Mongolia, and he's playing this weekend. I actually met him last weekend. So it's down at Tempe Reserve, Recreation Reserve, and 10:30 a.m. kickoff. I'll be down there taking photos. So if anyone wants to pop down there in Sydney, it should be a great event. So
hopefully there's a good barbecue on afterwards. The Mongolian barbecues are pretty highly thought of, aren't they?
Yeah, well, apparently before Wazza has to go, he has to take us to a Mongolian cafe or shop or restaurant or whatever you want to call it. I'll be looking forward to that for sure. He wants us to do he wants Worldwide Reds to do a trip to Mongolia, and it's definitely on the cards, that's for sure. So
Ride your bike there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Seasons in Red. We've got to get him on more. Definitely got to get him on more. That's for sure. And keep chatting to Juan. That's for sure. All right. Tell him Worldwide Reds want him on the podcast.
Tell him I'm going to beat him at golf as well.
Come on, Dan. That's your mission, Dan, to get Juan on the pod.
More likely that United will sign Carrick as manager in the next couple of weeks and we'll win the league.
Even just get him to do a little interview. Ask him a couple of questions and get him to answer it. All right, boys. Talk to you later. See you later.
Take care. Speak soon.
Yeah.
Cantona. Gary Neville looking for his first goal for Manchester United.